Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dairy Raid and part two of our little three-part series on building the 2026 offense, and more importantly, building the 2026 offense around Colton Joseph. Last time we talked about three parts of the 2025 offense that I think should carry over into 2026. They could be from the fundamental, foundational building block like the wide zone plays that will accentuate and complement Colton Joseph's natural playmaking ability, in the QB run game, and just the idea of finding quick free yards in the screen game, the access game, etc. Extensions of the run game. And this time I want to go through three aspects of the 2025 offense that I think need to be watered up into a tiny ball and shot into the moon. And I want to say there are a lot of things about the Jeff Grimes offense that I really do like. I like his ability to run the same base plays in multiple different ways. There are times the motions and the shifts, you can really see the method behind the madness and how they can get the defense off balance. There's a lot of things that I like. But I get frustrated when I see a play or a system of plays or even a thought process done over and over again. It doesn't work, and yet we keep committing to something that doesn't work, and we keep committing to something that doesn't work without trying to fix it. At least that's what it looks like from my eyes looking at the film. I'm sure I could sit down with Coach Grimes and he could talk me through it, why they did what they did. It's why they're getting paid the money they are in Madison. But regardless, it doesn't pass the eye test with me. And there were times last year that I thought the offense tried to do too much or maybe thought too much of the players they had. And maybe that adds to the arrogance of the coaching staff, thinking they can do more than they could. Regardless. And yet, it never got better. Now, hopefully in 2026, where the roster is maybe closer to what they envisioned, they can do more. But to take a step forward, you have to look back at your past failures and learn from those mistakes, improve upon those mistakes, and have the willingness to just cut and delete things that really aren't helping you. So I've got three aspects of the 2025 offense that, in my opinion, need to go. And we're going to start right here with the first one, and that is the idea of play actioning into nothing. Now, what do I mean by play actioning into nothing? In the simplest terms, it is running the play action where the quarterback is moving to and the receivers are moving to the short side of the field. Now, I understand that you can't just run every play action to the wide side of the field. Obviously, with the wide zone, we want to do a lot of runs to the wide side of the field. That's kind of a key part, forcing the defense to have to respect the entire field when only trying to run in a small portion of it. I get that. But when you're adding that balance to your run game or your pass game, whatever you're trying to do, how you're adding that balance needs to make sense and needs to be reliant on the players being able to make a play without having to be perfect every time. And that's one thing that I really saw with our play action game last year. So, what we're going to do here, we're going to draw up a play, an actual play that we ran in the 2025 season. Again, bonus points if you can figure out what defense this is against. Someone figured it out in the last video, which was awesome. This is a different defense and a different play. And we're just going to talk about how this play is set up and just where my frustration with this type of play lies. So already by this point, there has been a motion and a shift. We're going to get another motion where we're going to run a little return motion with our slot receiver. And we're going to run a wide zone action out of the backfield. We're going to run a wide zone blocking scheme, which I like in a play action sense because, again, you're allowing these defensive players to be aggressive and to roll up around their blockers. And then we're going to get a bootleg action from our quarterback. Route-wise, we got a little switch release where we set one tight end into the flat. We got the burst release to a out corner depending on leverage. We sent our single receiver on a crosser, and I think depth-wise it was probably a little deeper, probably more in this general range. And then we sent our motion in a little bender post. Okay? From a standpoint of the play, the X's and O's on the screen as we see them right now, I am not necessarily against it. I mean, it's a standard flood concept that every run-based offense will run. But you are really asking your quarterback and your receivers to be perfect. So, first things first, by the defensive alignment that we got here, just a little context what happened in the game. This edge player, outside linebacker, just gobbled up this little check to the flat. So he's not even a part of this play. And I believe you could see the route progression was going to work to the corner, to the cross, to the post. But what ended up happening, and what always seems to end up happening, is this tight end gets picked up by the safety and gobbled up. He's covered. But this takes time. I mean, this is a 10 to 15 yard route run by a tight end. You know, he's not running a 4.340. And he's got to sell action. So by the time we get off of here and onto here, our quarterback is already halfway to the numbers at best. And at this point, he is just running too laterally that it's going to make it really difficult to hit this crosser and forget about this backside post. So this whole play, in my estimation, by watching it over and over again from all angles, is really hoping that this safety bites on the run action and gets down in here so our quarterback can flip his hips and throw this outer corner right now. And if this safety here gets over the top, he can set up right here and bang this crosser. But when you start the play on the hash mark, you have 20 yards to play with the college hash marks. And if there's any delay in your dump off route or in your primary route in this play, then you're just going to end up getting wider and you're going to run out of time. And this is going to become more of an across your body type throw than it should be. Again, in a perfect world, we should be able to play action, set up right here, hit this, and if you don't hit it, you can stay planted and rip it right there. But what ends up happening? We boot, this gets covered up, you can't find this yet, so what do? You keep rolling out. You keep rolling out, and you lose this in the traffic, and then you get too far away from throwing this. It's frustrating. And again, I see the point of the play, but I think we're trying too hard in a situation where maybe change the backfield action. Maybe set up this guy as your primary route and run some sort of crossing route so the quarterback can set up and go 1 to 2 that maybe spill to the backside, whatever. This is asking too much to be perfect right now. Another example of play actioning into nothing is, again, taking a simple idea and just having it take too long to develop. And again, you run out of space, you run out of time. So what we're going to have a situation here, we're going to have our running back is going to start sidecar alignment to the field. He's going to motion behind the QB, and he's going to turn this into a little flare. Our two receivers on the front side are just going to run off and run fades. This is, or fade and a seam. We're taking a shot to the short side of the field where everything is going to get compressed. Backside, again, we're going to get some kind of spike crosser, and we're just going to get a holding fade on the backside. So, as I've said before, I like the concept. Okay, it's a very standard, almost air raid style pass concept. I don't mind what they're going to do play action wise is they're going to step to the toss, and then our QB is going to step back. Okay. Is that even necessary on a route combination like this? But what ends up happening is you're going to read this either inside out or outside in, probably outside in. So you can come back to this crosser. And you got your running back on a flare. Now, what also should be noted is the blocking scheme that you're trying to run. Okay, and what we did in this case is we ran a power scheme where we pulled to get out here. We were supposed to get some down blocks, and actually what had happened in this game is the nose tackle just blew straight through because our left guard blocked like a wounded muskox and couldn't pick him up. And it's just overtly complicated. When if you just want to run 2 verts with a crosser, run 2 verts with a crosser. I'm getting beside myself. So, regardless of the pressure, what ends up happening is the advantage that you're trying to get by play actioning quickly and trying to hit hole shots either here or here, the defense takes away very quickly. Because first thing, if you get a corner who can press this fade more to the sideline, you bring an extra defender. It's called the sideline. If you get an edge player here who can slow play this because he sees the pull and then just kind of drops, and by doing so he takes away a line of sight for either one of these balls, and he widens to the check down. You get a linebacker who can drop over the top and takes this away. This is a tight end. So he's running through traffic, and you're expecting him to get open 10, 15, 20 yards downfield on a play action. I don't like those odds. And then a running back gets in a situation where he gets too close to the sideline. So we can't even really get him the ball. He ends up just kind of getting out of the way. And again, he gets picked up by the trailing player here, the edge. What ends up happening? We boot. We try to find it. We can't find anything. We run out of bounds. We lose 2 or 3 yards. When you take a very simple idea of a crosser from the number 2 receiver on the field side, and you find a way to overtly complicate it, and by running this play action to the short side of the field, first, I don't want to run this toss to the short side of the field. I have no space. Am I hoping I'm just going to run the QB power off of this? Do we run the QB inside on this enough that these guys are going to bite? It all adds up into we run out of options so fast that if we just ran it here, you add options just by positioning on the field. So, in summary, if you're going to play action, you got to play action with a purpose. If you're going to play action, you have to have spatial awareness and knowing where your receivers are on the field, knowing where your quarterback's going to be on the field, knowing where that pressure is going to come from, and knowing where that pressure is going to push everybody. And when the play gets off rhythm, can you get back on rhythm? And or is this play even possible to find success in it when it gets off rhythm? That's something that we really need to pay better attention to this coming season, or teams are just going to continue to disrespect our play action game because it really did not work. All right, next up, what I want to talk about is the idea of formations without a purpose. And that, when I say it that way, it might not trigger in your head what I'm talking about. Well, we ran a lot of unbalanced or pseudo unbalanced formations in 2025. And what the idea of running an unbalanced formation is simple. You're trying to catch the defense out of position. You're trying to catch the defense with their eyes in the wrong spot, and you end up losing somebody in the formation that you can exploit later on. And what seemed like, again, to me, ended up happening was we would run these formations. We would get the expected defensive response, and then there would be no comeback to it. There would be no counter to it. And or it almost seems like we were surprised by the response that we got from that formation. And case in point we have here. So we have set up here. We are unbalanced where our tight end is covered by formation, meaning our tight end is ineligible. And we're open to the backside with our tackle. Now, make sure we are in understanding here. By college rules, you cannot report eligible. Meaning, Riley Mullman back over here cannot walk over to the umpire and say, I'm reporting eligible. So, you are wasting a bit of the formation there. Now, as I've stated before, we're trying to lose the tight end. Okay, we're trying to get a linebacker, safety, whatever, to see the tight end here and to accidentally cover him. Okay, fair enough. And I actually want to shift these guys a little bit because they did shift a little bit more. And what they basically ended up happening is they're trying to cover the gaps on the front side. And what ended up happening on the snap is the defensive front just attacked and ended up, because they covered everybody to the front side, they brought pressure from the backside where some of these backside blockers were kind of isolated. And we ended up still getting pressure anyways. That's the number one thing that struck me throughout the season is whenever we would line up in a formation like this, it would be like a trigger to the defensive box to just be aggressive. Partially because they knew that they could cover these two receivers probably just with the corners, but you throw a safety on top and you have it covered. So you can win with athleticism on the outside and you could be hyper aggressive in the box. And you end up getting a play like this where, again, we try to run off and we try to get our fullback in the flat or on a wheel, and you're creating some kind of flood concept. But these guys aren't getting their eyes caught in the backfield because by formation they know their job is to only worry about these receivers. These guys aren't getting their eyes caught on the receivers because they're being taught once they see this formation, they're going to be aggressive and everyone's just going to attack downhill. We're trying to control it, etc. Now, are we running any complements to this? Are we adjusting to this? Are we running power backside? Are we running QB power? Are we running inverted veer? Are we motioning out of this to get somebody isolated on a linebacker? No. We run this. We run the pass. We'll run QB power in here. We run toss. Everything into how the defense is adjusting to the formation. So, by being that predictable with your plays that come out of these formations, you make the defense's job that much easier. And that is something that we really have got to get better at, where when you're already struggling to keep up with certain defenses, especially ones that out-athlete you, you've got to make your offense less easy to read based on what formation you're in. Whether it be unbalanced, whether it be coming out in I formation, and the defense is having the same idea where, let's draw it up here real quick. Okay, we can come out in a standard I formation. And what do defenses do? They commit 8 to the box. And we're not drop back passing out of this. So as soon as the quarterback turns his back, we're attacking downhill. And if he doesn't hand it off, he turns around, he has defenders in his face. And that outlet isn't going to be there because the safety's sitting on top of it. That's what his responsibility is. There's 3 guys focusing, maybe even 2 guys just focusing on the pass. Everyone else is just keep everything in the box and attack. And this not only hurts the play action game, it hurts the run game. And this just goes back to the frustrations I've had with the Badgers offense for decades. This shit didn't work when this was Jonathan Taylor all the time. Sure, it worked against the Gimmies, but you do them against games, you get them against Ohio State, this ain't gonna work. So your offense has got to make your formations viable in every situation. And right now, there are a lot of formations in our offense that aren't. So if the offense is going to grow in 2026, you need to build around these formations, or you need to get rid of them and focus on formations, shifts, and motions that can give you options at all times. All right. And the last thing that I want to go over, the last part, aspect, systematic approach, however you want to call it, from the 2025 offense that I think has to go is the all or nothing attitude towards our drop back passing game, and especially in long situations. Okay, now, I'm not stupid. If it's 3rd and 12, we need to gain 12 yards. I get that. I do. And if we have a situation, formation like this, a lot of times what we would get is 3rd and 12. And we're going to send our vertical shots. Okay? Nothing wrong with that. We keep this guy in for protection because the amount of time it takes for these routes to get open. Maybe we couldn't pass protect for so long. But regardless, the problem that I have with this is what ended up happening is these guys would just keep running, and it seemed like every 3rd and long situation turned into 3rd and 40, and it was either get everything or nothing. And what happened 99 times out of 100, we got nothing. And it turns this NFL-style passing game, this vertical passing game that we were promised, yes, it was absolutely vertical. But what's the point of a vertical passing game if you can't complete a vertical pass? More importantly, what's the point of a vertical passing game if you can't protect long enough to send more than 3 receivers in the route? And what's the point in a vertical passing game if that's all you try to do and you have no success in it? And that is sometimes the frustrating part you get when you get people who may or may not have a lot of experience in the passing game calling the passing game. Not to say that they can't design plays, because 3 verts out of this certainly is a play that many teams run. But the situational awareness, the awareness of the type of players that you have, and what is necessary to gain yards and to get the first down, all need to be taken into account. So if we want to have a vertical passing game and it's 3rd and 12, that's fine. Okay? Send my guys deep. Okay? But we need to get that first down. First down's right here. So if they can't get open, then you've got to give them options to get open. Number two, you need to level the playing field by sending what you have available in the pattern. I know, very air raid of me to think of something like that. But you need to get something. Something is better than nothing. So when you send 3 receivers on 40-yard routes and you can't complete it, then you're not getting anything. I would rather have a situation where you send these guys deep, and if they are capped at 10 yards on the outside, then you tell them to break down. Because they're not going to, if you're capped at 10 yards, you're not going to be uncapped at 40. It's just not going to happen. Or you're not going to be uncapped in time for the QB to find you, I guess is a better way to put it. And, you could be capped here. Send him to the post if he's capped instead of over the top. Allow him to create space. Or, again, if we're capped, allow him to hunt for space or break off his route earlier. Because if you get the ball to your receiver at 6 yards, doesn't mean he's going to go down at 6 yards. Yes, the first down is at 12. But sometimes you got to let a guy make a play. And in this situation, the play is to make 12 yards, not 40. So I want to see more layers built into the passing game. And yes, you have your shots. And you try to get the ball downfield. But when the defense is covering that part of the field because it is a long situation, you want to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands and let one of your playmakers make a play. And this chuck and duck, all or nothing approach to the passing game is only going to lead to frustration. Because I got to imagine it's frustrating for a quarterback to sit here and just know that his receivers aren't even going to be looking back until they're 20 yards downfield on a 12-yard play. That's frustrating, and that needs to stop. And that's something that we need to grow on in 2026. And with that, I think we will call it a day on this video. So, it's real easy to look at 2025 and find things that we don't like or want to get rid of. It was one of the worst offenses in Wisconsin history. We could say the whole thing. But a lot of the plays that we run, even that we talked about now, are rooted in good football. They're just done at the wrong time and the wrong way and with the wrong mindset. So if we improve the systematic approach of when these plays are being ran with the right mindset, taking into account the players that we have on the field, not the players that we hope they're going to be, the players that they are, maybe we can keep these plays. But if we're going to keep the same approach, we're going to deploy them in the same situations, and we're still going to ignore the players that we have, then we're going to have the same result. And we can't have the same result in 2026, or we're starting all over again in 2027. All right. That's enough for today. Thank you for watching. Next time, we are going to take a look at 3 areas, 3 aspects, 3, whatever you want to call it. I'll figure out the right adjective by the time we get there. that I want to see added to the 2026 offense. Ideas that Colton Joseph was successful with at Old Dominion that put him on the radar for the Wisconsin coaching staff. Ideas that successful spread to run offenses have done in the past throughout the country that can be brought into the Badgers offense, and ideas that can excite the fan base, can excite the players, can excite the recruits. So 2026 is the start of an offensive revolution, shall we say, in Madison. I don't know, I might be going too far. You know what I mean. All right, but that will be next time. Thank you for watching, and we will see you then.